My people, what is happening right now is something that has caught the attention of both Nigerians at home and those abroad. As we speak, the atmosphere around Nnamdi Kanu's case is becoming more tense and emotional than ever. The date for his final judgment has been fixed for November 20th, 2025. And because of that, supporters of the indigenous people of Biafra, known as IPOB, and other Biafrans across the world have started making loud moves, especially in the United Kingdom. Just a few hours ago, many Biafrans living in the UK were seen gathering around the British Consulate. They came out in large numbers, holding placards, banners, and flags, demanding that the British government intervene and push for the release of Nnamdi Kanu before the judgment day arrives. They said they could no longer stay silent while one of their own remains behind bars for so long. They believe the trial has taken too long and that the whole process has become more political than fair. Remember to like this video and subscribe so you can always get updates as these things unfold.
To Right Honorable Keir Starmer, MP, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, number 10 Downing Street, London, SW1A 2AA. We, the undersigned members of the Nigerian British community and concerned advocates for justice and human rights, issue this communique to urgently appeal for the intervention of the British government in ongoing unlawful detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a British citizen and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, who has been held in Nigeria since 2021 in defiance of multiple court orders. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was abducted in Kenya in June 2021 under circumstances that violated international law, including the prohibition of extraordinary rendition. He was forcibly transferred to Nigeria, where he has since been detained by the Nigerian authorities. Despite rulings by the Nigerian Court of Appeal and other competent courts ordering his immediate and uncontrolled.
From what we are hearing, the crowd in the UK was peaceful but passionate. They sang freedom songs, they called for justice, and they wanted the British authorities to pay attention because Kanu also holds British citizenship. Many of them were waving the Biafran flag proudly in front of the consulate, asking the UK to step in and use its influence to ensure fair treatment and possibly secure his freedom. It was emotional. You could see people with tears. You could hear their chants echoing down the streets. And for them, it was not just about politics. It was about identity, freedom, and justice. Back home in Nigeria, the situation is not calm either. People are talking everywhere, in markets, on the streets, online. Many are watching to see what will happen on November 20th. Some people are hopeful that the court will finally set Nnamdi Kanu free, while others are saying that the case is more complicated because it involves national security and government policies. But one thing that is clear is that Nigerians are tired of waiting. They just want a clear answer, freedom or conviction. But they don't want any more delay. Please remember, if you are following this gist, like this video right now, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update I'll drop after the judgment. As we all know, Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention for a long time. His supporters have continued to organize protests, rallies, and media campaigns, asking that the government release him unconditionally. Over time, the case has gone through different legal stages, hearings, adjournments, arguments between his lawyers and the prosecution. And now, after many months, the court has fixed the date that everyone has been waiting for. It is that November 20th, 2025, that is now making the tension rise. During the last court session, the judges warned Kanu and his legal team that they had one last chance to present their defense properly. The court made it clear that it won't allow unnecessary delays anymore. They want to conclude everything so the final decision can be given. That is why the atmosphere is so serious right now. The court's tone showed that this time, they mean business. They are ready to deliver judgment. Like this video now if you are following, and subscribe because we will be here to give you full updates on that judgment day. Meanwhile, the protest in the UK is not the only one happening. Some reports say that similar demonstrations are being planned in other countries too, places like Canada, Germany, and the United States. The diaspora community feels that the world needs to hear their voice. They are saying, if Nigeria refuses to listen, maybe the international community will. These actions are mostly organized by Biafran groups who believe that international pressure might make a difference. The most touching part is how ordinary people are expressing their emotions. Some people say they have not slept well since the date was announced. They are anxious because they see Nnamdi Kanu not just as one man, but as a symbol of what they believe in. You can hear their voices in videos circulating online, saying things like "Free Kanu now" and "Justice for the Southeast." It shows how deeply connected people feel to this issue. At the same time, the Nigerian government is still standing firm, saying the case is not about politics or tribe, but about law and order. They insist that Kanu must face justice for the charges against him. Government officials have repeatedly said that the judiciary is independent and that no one, no matter their status, is above the law. But many Nigerians remain skeptical. They believe the case is politically influenced, and that's why people are speaking up more now than ever. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because you need balanced information, not rumors, and that's what I give you here. Now, the big question that everybody is asking is this: what will happen on November 20th? Will the court free him? Will there be another appeal? Will the protests grow bigger? Nobody can say for sure, but one thing is certain: that date will be historic. Every camera, every news outlet, every social media platform will be tuned in. And if you look at how things are going right now, it's clear that both sides, that the government and the supporters, are preparing for that day in their own ways. Let's also talk about how this whole thing is affecting everyday Nigerians. Many people are worried that if emotions boil over, it could lead to unrest, especially in some parts of the country. The authorities have been advising people to remain peaceful, to allow the court to do its work, and not to take the law into their own hands. Peaceful protest is a right, yes, but violence is never the answer. It's good that in the UK, the protest remained peaceful. That shows maturity and understanding. If people continue that way, the message will be heard more clearly and respected even by those who disagree. Another thing that has made this issue more emotional is how long it has lasted. People are tired. They want closure. Some supporters believe that freeing Kanu could open the door for dialogue between the government and the Southeast, and that could help calm years of tension. Others believe that even if the judgment doesn't go his way, what matters is that it should be fair and transparent, so people can have faith in the judicial process. Please hit that like button right now and subscribe. Let's continue to build a community of people who want real updates and real understanding, not confusion. As the protests continue abroad, international media are starting to pay more attention again. Some British journalists have already written about the rallies, showing images of people standing with flags and chanting outside government buildings. These images are spreading fast on social media, and many Nigerians living abroad are sharing them proudly. They see it as a way of showing unity and demanding accountability. One thing people are now watching closely is whether the British government will make any statement before the judgment. Because of Kanu's dual citizenship, supporters say the UK has a responsibility to speak up. So far, there hasn't been an official statement, but the protesters are hopeful that something will happen. They say they will continue to protest peacefully until they are heard. The truth is, whatever happens on November 20th will set a major tone for what follows in Nigeria's political space. It could either open a new chapter of peace and reconciliation or deepen existing divisions. That's why everyone, politicians, religious leaders, and even ordinary citizens, need to talk carefully and act responsibly now, because the eyes of the world are watching. So, as we wait for that day, what can Nigerians do? First, stay calm. Avoid spreading fake news or emotional rumors. Verify information before sharing. Second, encourage peaceful dialogue. Even when we disagree, we can still talk respectfully. And third, keep praying that justice, true justice, will prevail. And remember, whatever your opinion is about this case, remember that violence or hate speech will never help. We are all one people at the end of the day, and what affects one region eventually touches the whole country. Let's hope that by November 20th, the judiciary will make a decision that promotes peace and strengthens our democracy. Before I round up, let me say this. The spirit of the people is strong. Whether you agree with IPOB or not, you can't ignore how determined they are. The turnout in the UK shows how deep this matter runs in the hearts of many Nigerians. And it's not just about politics, it's about identity, fairness, and the hope for a country where justice is not selective. If you have been watching up to this point, thank you. Please like this video right now and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next part when I bring you full details from the court and reactions from both sides. Everything happening right now shows that Nigeria is at another crossroads, one that requires wisdom, patience, and understanding from both the people and the government. The coming days will be very important, and we'll keep watching closely. I'll continue to bring you calm, factual updates without fear or bias, just the truth the way it is. So keep your notifications on because I'll be updating you immediately after the judgment on November 20th. Until then, let's continue to stay peaceful, stay informed, and stay united. Like this video if you believe in justice, subscribe if you believe in peace, and share it with your friends so they too can stay informed about what's really happening.
Conditional release, the Nigerian government has refused to comply, thereby undermining the rule of law and judicial independence. This continued detention not only contravenes Nigeria's constitutional and international legal obligations, but also raises grave concerns about the safety, health, and the human rights of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We have contacted MP Abena Okon-Aso over this issue concerning incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by the Nigerian government, and she had taken steps to ensure the matter is resolved. Has taken the matter to the UK Minister of State, Baroness Chapman, to ensure the matter is resolved and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released. We are following up the matter to ensure Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released and will be updating the general public. As a British citizen, his case warrants the urgent attention and protection of the United Kingdom, particularly in the light of the clear violation of due process and the disregard of judicial authority. We respectfully call upon Prime Minister Keir Starmer and British government to publicly and diplomatically urge the government of Nigeria to comply with its own court release and release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu without further delay. Engage relevant international bodies and legal mechanisms to ensure accountability for the extraordinary rendition and ongoing detention. Reaffirm the United Kingdom's commitment to rule of law, human rights, and the protection of its citizens abroad. This is not mere legal matter. It is a moral imperative. The continued silence or inaction in the face of such injustice risks embodying impunity and eroding the credibility of democratic institutions across the Commonwealth, which Nigeria is part of it. We trust that United Kingdom, as a beacon of democratic values and a long-standing partner of Nigeria, will rise to this occasion with principled leadership and moral clarity. Signed, Honorable Ejike Ikezuagu, organizer, consigned Nigerians for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu with my number and also the email. So, this is the communique that we are going to be taking up to the press and be taking it up in all angles we can legitimately, not illegal, putting pressure in government. What we are doing is adding up to the pressure already every one of us has been doing. It's not one man business, it's a collective effort. Any little you know you can do it. Don't say this person has never done it. Do that little you can. The object now is to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That is the primary object. If we can get him released, the rest of that thing will come follow. So we are not saying or pursuing shadows or pursuing two things at a time where we are not achieving anything. We are focusing to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has finally fixed November 20th as the date to deliver judgment in the long and heated case of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. This update has set a lot of people talking because for years now, the case has moved from one stage to another, and now it looks like we're finally getting close to the end of it. Please, before we continue, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates when the judgment comes out. So here's what's going on right now. After several adjournments, arguments, and motions, the court has decided that on November 20th, it will give its judgment on whether or not Nnamdi Kanu is guilty of the 7-count charge of terrorism filed against him by the federal government. The presiding judge, Justice James Omotosho, made this clear after a long legal back and forth between Kanu's defense team and the prosecution. Now, for those following the case closely, you'll remember that Kanu and his lawyers have been insisting that the charges against him have no legal backing. They argue that the law under which he's being tried, the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, has been repealed and replaced. According to them, you cannot prosecute someone with a law that no longer exists. That's the key argument they've been pushing strongly in court. And if the court agrees with them, that could completely change the direction of this case. Please like this video and subscribe if you're following closely because the details matter here. The prosecution, on the other hand, maintains that the charges are valid. They insist that Kanu's past statements and broadcasts, especially during the peak of IPOB's agitation, fall under acts of terrorism and incitement, which the law punishes. They believe that even if there's an argument about which law is in use, the essence of the charge still stands because it's about national security. And this is where the court will have to make a big decision. Is the case still valid or not? Let's also remember that this isn't the first time the court is giving Kanu a strict deadline. A few weeks ago, Justice Omotosho warned that if the defense fails to open its case or file its arguments, the court will go ahead without them. That's because the prosecution had already closed its side and was waiting for Kanu's defense to respond. But instead of going into defense, Kanu's legal team submitted the motion saying there was no case to answer at all. They asked the court to dismiss the charges outright, claiming that Kanu shouldn't even be standing trial under an invalid law. And that move right there was what pushed the court to set November 20th as Judgment Day. Now everyone is waiting, not just lawyers or journalists, but people from all parts of the country. Supporters of Kanu are saying this could be the day justice finally comes their way. Others, however, believe that no matter how emotional the case may be, the law should take its course. And that's why the atmosphere around this case is so tense. Please make sure you like this video and subscribe because the next few weeks will be filled with major reactions when the court finally speaks. To understand why this case means so much, we need to look back a bit. Nnamdi Kanu was first arrested several years ago on similar charges but later granted bail. He left Nigeria while still on bail in 2017 and was later rearrested in 2021 after being brought back from Kenya. Since then, he has been in custody, facing multiple court appearances and several rulings. His supporters have been calling for his release, claiming that his arrest and continued detention are politically motivated. But the federal government says it's purely a matter of national security. Throughout these years, there have been many dramatic moments, from legal debates about jurisdiction to discussions about whether the federal government had the right to bring him back from another country without following international extradition rules. These are some of the major points his lawyers have raised. They believe that since his extradition did not follow due process, the entire trial should not even be happening. They say a person cannot be tried in a court that doesn't have proper jurisdiction. However, the prosecution says the most important thing is that Kanu is in Nigeria and the case can go on. They've argued that the manner in which he was returned doesn't erase the charges he's facing. That argument has been one of the most controversial aspects of the whole trial. People have argued both sides on social media, on TV, and even in public discussions. Please remember to like this video and subscribe, because as we move closer to November 20th, the discussions will only get louder. Another key issue in this trial is the argument about the so-called inciting broadcasts. The federal government accuses Kanu of using his platform to make statements that led to unrest, property destruction, and even loss of lives in parts of the southeast. They say his words had real-life consequences, and that's why he must be held accountable. But Kanu's defense insists that he never encouraged violence, that he only called for self-determination and freedom of speech. It's a battle of narratives. On one side, a government saying it's trying to protect national unity. On the other side, a movement saying it's fighting for self-determination and justice. And that's what makes this November 20th judgment so sensitive. No matter how it goes, the outcome will spark major reactions. If Kanu is found guilty, it will likely lead to strong responses from his supporters, possibly protests or renewed calls for his release. If he's found not guilty, or if the charges are dismissed, it will be seen as a major victory for him and Naipobi. Either way, this case is going to shape discussions about law, human rights, and regional politics for a long time. Please like this video and subscribe, because when that judgment is read out, we'll bring you every detail, live analysis, and the reactions across the country. This is not just another court case. It's a test of Nigeria's legal system.